Just because it's posted on the internet does not make it true. The TV is way too small. Cruise lines don't do enough for homeschoolers. I am platinum. Why am I not being treated extra special in mayonnaise? Yeah, I said mayonnaise. Welcome to what every cruiser wants. Good Saturday morning, everybody. Chris here with High Seas Cruising, and welcome to this week's episode of What Every Cruiser Wants. And yep, we have cruise comments covering all different types of subject. And where some of these people come up with some of this stuff, I honestly don't even know. But let's jump into today's comments. Let's find out, are these people right? Are these people wrong? Do you agree with them? Do they speak for everybody? Is their entitlement justified? Do they know what's wrong with cruising and exactly what needs to be done to fix it? First up today, the amount of misinformation about cruises, cruise lines, activities, and changes on cruise lines that is posted on the internet on a daily, it's staggering. But what is super baffling about it is how anybody can go on there, write a statement, and say, such and such cruise line is making this change. And it's ridiculous change that they even write about, and people read it and then they believe it. They don't check it, they don't research it, they don't find out if it's true. No, they just immediately write in a comment to the cruise line, why are you doing this? This makes no sense. I hate this is all stupid. And at the end, it turns out it's not even true. Somebody made it up, somebody read it, and now we end up with a comment just like this one. A regular diamond cruiser on blank Facebook and who is a moderator there has said that baristas will no longer have to-go cups. Coffee is expected to be consumed at the tables around the Java Cafe in cups. The Carnival story rationale, sustainability, and to save ships water? The last part pretty odd. Well, it is pretty odd all the way around. Imagine if the big S said no more coffee to go. Who decides this crazy stuff? Does anyone even think it through? I will miss the cozy, welcoming atmosphere of Starbucks when I am on the Vista. Totally disgusted. So somebody wrote on the Facebook that to-go cups would no longer be available at Java Blue on Carnival cruise ships, and they were doing this for sustainability and to save water. That's what you read, and you didn't check ahead of time before you wrote in a comment complaining about this change. And you demand to know who decides this stuff. Well, nobody at Carnival decided this. Some person with a keyboard decided to type it. You decided to believe it because the cruise line made no such change. The to-go cups are not going away. Because we all know people are not just going to hang out right there. They take their coffee and they go. And so if it was all in mugs or washable cups, something like that, now the crew has to collect them, find them, get them back to Java Blue. And imagine how many cups they would have to have first thing in the morning, every single morning, for the number of people that would get coffee and walk off with the cup. Getting rid of the to-go cups makes no sense. But they asked, did anybody think this through? Well, that would be my question to you. Did you think it through before you started accusing a cruise line of doing something they didn't do? And you're totally disgusted by this situation. You should be totally disgusted by the fact you did no checking, no research, verified no information, just believed what some rando typed on the internet, and then you wrote in a comment to the cruise line blaming them for something again they didn't do. I thought it was pretty common knowledge, but look, just because it's written on the internet does not mean it is true. People will always put false information, false stories, and fake stories just to get clicks, likes, and views. And well, you fell for it. Next, we're going to talk about TVs in the cruise cabin, particularly the size of the TV. Now, of course, the size of the TV varies by cruise line, can vary by cruise cabin type. Carnival Cruise Lines does have some smaller size TVs. Disney Cruise Line, at least on their older ships, also has some smaller size TVs. Been on Princess, they have much larger TVs. On Norwegian, we were on the Prima, had much larger sized TVs. And TVs have a place in the cruise. You may flick on the TV when you're getting ready for some noise. Maybe you watch the TV right before you're going to bed to relax, unwind. Maybe you just need a break in the middle of the day and you click on the TV. But have you ever decided what cruise you were going to go on based on the size of the TV? Has the size of the TV been your deciding factor? Or has the size of the TV ever been a deal breaker for you booking a cruise? Well, I refuse to book Carnival Cruise Lines because the TV in the cabin is too small. That's never even been a factor into how I book a cruise, what cruise I book. Maybe I'm the minority, maybe I'm not the majority. And for the person that wrote in today's comment, it's a factor. DH and I had an awesome time on the Freedom, but what the hell is up with these tiny TVs? The computer monitor I am viewing while I type this is larger than the TV was. I would guess around 40 to 42 inches would be a minimum for most normal cruisers. Most other lines we have cruised with, blank and blank, have 50-inch TVs in every stateroom. This didn't spoil our cruise experience as we chose not to let it, but it will be a deal breaker next time we choose a ship. All right, so they take the size of their cruise cabin TV serious. And look, let's be honest. If you like a bigger TV in your cabin versus a smaller TV, that's okay. You're happy with the small ones, don't care if it's a big one, that's okay too. TV size, it's a personal preference. I've been on ships with big ones, I've been on ships with small ones. The cabins, they're not all that big, so for me at least, the size of the TV is not relevant to whether or not I'm going to book that cruise or not book that cruise. The size of the TV is not a deal breaker for me. But let me ask you all the question. Is the size of the TV really that important? Is it something you would use to decide whether or not you would book a ship or not? Or are you more like me? I don't spend enough time watching TV in my cabin that honestly, I don't really care what size it is. Next, we're going to talk about homeschooling your children. And let's be clear up front. If you are a homeschooling parent that homeschools your children, great for you. Because this isn't about whether or not you should or shouldn't homeschool your children. That's a personal family choice, a personal family decision. And we have no business being in that choice or that decision whatsoever. However, if you do homeschool your children and you go on vacation on a cruise ship, it is not the cruise line's responsibility to participate in your homeschooling endeavors. A cruise is a vacation. They are a travel company that takes people traveling on vacation on a cruise ship. And while there is educational stuff on a cruise ship, you can definitely learn a lot, teach a lot to children while you're on a cruise. The number of people you would meet from around the world, the stories that can be told, the places that you will visit. There are some cruise lines out there that have educational focus. A cruise to Alaska can be very educational. So there's definitely education opportunities, but that doesn't mean that they need to set up a classroom or special spaces or anything else like that just so you can have a homeschool class. And if you realize that, you probably wouldn't write a comment like this. As a homeschool mom who cruises a lot, I can say for all the parents who homeschool their kids that Carnival must do better for us all. So what exactly must Carnival do? What is it that you are expecting, requirement that you have that this cruise line must do for you because you choose to homeschool your kids? What is their responsibility in that whatsoever? Should they designate passenger spaces just for you to use? Should they put aside a space on the ship and say, oh, rest of you passengers, you're not homeschooling, you can't be in there? Cruise ships have limited real estate. They're not adding classroom. I'm sure you can find a quiet spot on the ship, a table somewhere they can work, or you can always go to your cruise cabin. But for this one, let's hear from any parents that homeschool their children. Are the cruise lines not doing enough for you? Or are you aware you're going on a vacation? And yes, you can fit educational stuff in for your vacation? Are you expecting the cruise lines to handle parts of this and be responsible for your homeschooling as well? Now, we cannot make a Saturday video and not have a little bit of entitlement. We can't just skip over some I am platinum. We've always got to get it in. And we don't want to disappoint, so we have a comment from someone who says they are a platinum cruiser and they want something extra for being loyal, for being a platinum cruiser. They want it before everybody else. As a platinum card holder, they should allow us to get our food and be seated at least a half an hour before the others. Main dining, we should always have the best seats. We've been loyal through and through. So they are platinum. They want to be seated and they want their food at least 30 minutes before every other passenger on that ship because they are platinum and they have been loyal. They should always get the absolute best seats in the dining room. And while I completely understand perks for those loyal members, I guess what really makes me laugh about this comment is the fact that they said, I am platinum. This is what I deserve. I should get the absolute best seating first, eat first, seated first, everything. But you're not even the highest loyalty level on that ship. Not even the highest loyalty level. And somehow they have still managed to put themselves in front of the diamond members, because nowhere in there do they say diamond members should also be allowed. Diamond members should perhaps get the best seats first and then platinum. They don't say any of that. They say, I am platinum. We should eat first. We should sit first. We should get the best seats in the main dining room. My God, and you're not even the top loyalty level, and you're trying to just put your entitlement just out there for everybody. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't priority seating already a perk, at least on some cruise lines? And finally, let's end this show with what I consider a silly and absolutely ridiculous comment. Statements made that are absolutely false. I mean, I just cannot stress how false this statement is. And of course, it's one of those ones that they try to include everybody in their way of thinking. This is what I like. This is what I want. Everybody else wants it and does it exactly the same way. And good God, just from what they say, it's wrong. But does that stop them? Of course not. Did it make them think as they were typing on their keyboard? Perhaps I shouldn't say this because, good God, somebody's going to call me out on it. Nope, and that didn't stop them either, and we end up with this. Mayonnaise is the number one thing us Texans to put on French fries, but y'all hide it away like gold dust. There should be a pot of Duke's Mayo on every table at the buffet. There's not. Why? I'm willing to bet that there are a lot of Texans right now going, ooh, what in the hell is this person talking about? Mayonnaise is not the number one thing that Texans put on French fries. No, no, no. Now, if you like to put mayonnaise on your French fries, you do you. That's perfectly okay. But don't say that this is a Texas thing or this is what Texans do or it's the number one thing in Texas, because it's not. I am Texan. I am in Texas. No. So no, there doesn't need to be a pot of Duke's Mayo on every single table because every Texan on that ship is just like, damn, I need something to dip my fries into. Where's my Duke's Mayo? Because at the end of the day, here's the truth. Here's the reality of the world that we all live in. People do not all like the same thing just because they're from the same place. I bet if we asked Texans and only Texans what they like to dip their fries in, I bet we could get 10 plus different responses. We could get everything from ketchup, chipotle mayo. We could get some ranch dressing. We could get some salsa. How about some cheese? How about chili and cheese? How about some Cane's chicken sauce? That one's pretty good on some fries right there. How about the folks that maybe mix ketchup and mayo together and form their own concoction? You can't say the number one thing that every Texan wants on their fries is mayo, because at least from this Texan, that's gross. You would never, ever, ever catch me doing that. It's okay if you do it because our tastes are different, but don't say every Texan when clearly that's not the case. So I'll ask the question, what do you like to dip your fries in, put on your fries? What is your condiment of choice? Let me know in the comments below. And especially if you're from Texas, let me know. I'm from Texas and I like this because I want to see if mayo comes up as the number one answer from Texans, is that is what they want on their fries. And for the person that wrote this comment, if you were seeing this, if you were reading this, good God, do better when you write comments. And that is going to be our video for today. Let me know in the comments below whether you agree, whether you disagree. Are these people right? Are these people wrong? Are they speaking for everyone out there? And as you are watching this video, are you currently dipping your French fries in a pot of Duke's mayonnaise? And if you've enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you haven't done so yet, do me a favor and hit subscribe. It is free to do so. Helps our channel grow. Let you know anytime we put out a new video. You don't want to miss the number one condiment in Texas for French fries. Now, I hope everyone out there is having a really great day, a really great weekend, and like always, we will see you out on the high seas.